Today, we're going to talk about 5 steps to close more sales. And in this, we're going to help you just get some good skills that you can use starting right now to help you actually have a yes instead of a no. As always, this is sponsored by Agency Fast Track. If you haven't been to our site, please visit us at www.agencyfasttrack.com. Now, I thought today would be a great day for this quote by Mr. Jim Cathcart, who said, "Become the person who would attract the results you seek." And today is all about doing just that, trying to be the person that the other person, your future customer, wants to say yes to and wants to hire. Keep in mind, people buy from people they like and people they feel comfortable with. And how we make that happen is we build rapport. Now, rapport is one of the biggest keys to increasing our close ratio. And today, I'm going to give you 5 steps to help you close more sales by building better rapport. Now, building rapport to close more sales starts right away. If you think about how to build that right kind of rapport, you want to maintain it literally from the opening to the close. The opening, the minute you talk to someone, get on the phone with someone, write an email or respond to an email, whatever it is, that rapport starts immediately when we create that contact with that future customer. So how do we build the right kind of rapport, right? The kind of rapport that's going to actually increase our sales closing ratio, getting people to say yes instead of no. 5 steps to close more sales. That's how we do it. So let's look at 5 behaviors we can change today to impact our sales closing ratio. Number 1, match and mirror. It's important to match the tone and mirror behaviors in your future customers. And what that means is subconsciously, as a person, we like people that are like us. We like people who think like us, act like us, talk like us, and are simply like us. In doing so, in a sales situation, we can mirror the energy and mannerisms of another person, and that will help us to close more sales. So let's talk about a couple things in this step. Number 1, matching voice. When you match voice, basically your tone and volume you use in speaking should really match that of your future customer. If they're real loud and happy and excited, you should be real loud, happy, and excited. But if they're soft and a little bit meek, then you should be soft and a little bit meek. Do you see how matching my voice, either being loud or being soft, is something that sets the tone? And again, people like people that are just like them. We can also mirror body language. So if a customer's making themselves really small and maybe folding their arms and kind of into themselves, then you don't want to lean in and be really big with them. If they do lean in, though, and they're really excited and they're the type of person with their body language that's really in your face, so to speak, be that person too. In other words, mirror what they do. If they're reserved, be reserved with your body language. If they're open with their body language, then you be more open with your body language. Again, mirroring body language can help close more sales. And finally, match their energy, right? Match their energy. If they're high energy, you be high energy. But if they're low key, you be low key. All of these things really help us to show our future customers that we're just like them. Now, I'm not saying you should be your untrue self. Sometimes you just have to either tone it down or tone it up, depending on the customer that you're sitting in front of. Number 2, focus on them. Remember, everyone is fundamentally selfish, right? We want to know what's in it for us. Well, guess what? So does your customer. They want to know what's in it for them. So talk about their results, their goals, their success, and don't talk about yours. You see, they don't care about you. As awful as that sounds, they simply don't. They might be polite and listen, but don't talk about yourself, and do it as little as possible if you do. Connect, but stay on point. We know that we have to gain that rapport, and to do so, sometimes it's nice to latch on to something they say. And I do this as well. In other words, if they say, oh, I love fishing, sure, I might come in and say, oh, I do too. Fishing's awesome. But that's it. Don't digress. Don't make the mistake of thinking that if you talk to them about fishing for the next 20 minutes and talk about your love of fishing, that's going to help. In fact, it won't. Stay on topic. Obviously, we want to be friendly. We want to connect on any likenesses we have. That can be good, but don't do it for longer than a minute. And if you do it, stay focused on them and not on you. Oh, I love fishing too. Where do you go fishing? Oh, that's awesome. Great. So how can I help you? Connect, but stay on point. As you get into the conversation, ask for more information. So use phrases like, what do you mean by that? To get them talking about their issues, their problems, their desires. We want to stay focused. We want to stay on topic, but we also want to gather as much information as possible about the problem, how it makes them feel, what it makes happen in their life, the negativities it's causing. We want to know everything we can about that situation. And remember, we're focusing on them. Focusing on them. By asking for more information, they feel like it's all about them. That's what we want. We also want to seek out their why. I did talk about this last week. So if you missed last week, let me know, either in the comments if you're watching the replay or here live if you're on live, and I'll send you that replay. But we talked all about why. Seeking out their why is super important. We want to probe deeper to better understand why they want the outcome they're seeking. This makes it personal. And when we make it personal, again, it's all about them. Imagine if their why was, if I don't solve this problem, I'm going to lose my house, I'm going to lose my spouse, or something even greater. Knowing that information can help us do the right thing for them and help them feel like we can solve that problem for them. Okay, number 3, set yourself apart. If you want to close more sales, in the 5 steps, number 3 is important. Set yourself apart. You don't want to do what your future customer expects you to do. Instead, be different from the other guys and gals and people they might be talking to. Don't be that normal salesperson. Don't be that normal questioner and ask the stock questions everybody asks. Set yourself apart. And you can do that in a few ways. 1, don't sell. Don't talk about you. Don't talk about your products. That's selling. Instead, talk about them, like we previously mentioned, and initiate a conversation about their true problems. We don't talk about our products. We don't talk about our services until we've closed the deal. Now, that's going to sound crazy. How can you not talk about what you do until you close? Because you want them to buy into you and the fact that you can solve their problem, because they're not going to care how you do it. And when you come in with that attitude of, I'm not here to sell, you actually will close more sales. Be a consultant. Consult with your future customer. Gain clarity. Get the big picture and the details. The more you know, the easier it is going to be to close that sale. By being a consultant, by asking many questions, and not for the sake of asking, for true understanding. You're listening, hearing what they're saying, and asking clarifying questions to understand the problem. And give value early on. Remember, just the consulting side of what you're doing is actually offering true value, because true consulting and problem solving, you're giving of yourself right away. You're not going in and talking about you. You're not going in and talking about your programs, your products, your services. You're trying to gain clarity about them. And by doing so, you set yourself apart from the others, because you're willing to spend time, which is one of your most precious resources, with them. Number 4, rephrase and clarify, and do this often. Rephrase what the customer says so they understand that you're listening, and ask for clarity by clarifying. This is one of the biggest things you can do in your sales process to close more sales. When you're thinking about closing sales and sales closing techniques and sales closing tips, I would say number 4 is one of the biggest ones: rephrase and clarify. So let's talk about that for a second. One of the things I say often is, just so I understand. Now listen to my tonality, I'll say it. Just so I understand. Real concern, right? I use that quite a bit. So after talking about a specific issue or problem, the customer and I have talked for a minute, I restate it, starting with, just so I understand, you said. What I'm doing is I'm showing them that I've heard them, I'm acknowledging what they said, and I'm giving them the opportunity to correct me if I somehow have perceived the problem wrong. But more importantly, I'm showing them that I do understand the problem and I did listen. From there, I'm going to confirm and clarify. So after I say that, I'm going to end the rephrase in a way that seeks to confirm I understood and ask for clarity if I don't. So I'll say what I said and then end with, did I understand that correctly? At that point, they're going to confirm, sure, yep, that's exactly what I meant. Or they might say, not exactly. Let me explain more. Okay, please help me. I truly want to understand, Mr. Customer, what's going on. I promise you, by putting these steps into your sales closing process, you're going to close more sales. If while you're doing all of this consulting, you have to keep probing. If you do that, again, you're going to have better results. So when you say things like, did I correctly understand you? Did I get that correct? Is that right? Pepper in, what do you mean by that? How so? I don't understand. Can you explain more? These are probing questions. So if somebody were to tell me, hey, I need to get more leads, I'm going to ask, okay, I understand you want to get more leads. That's correct, right? Yeah. Well, help me understand what that means to you. Do you see how I've used all three of these steps to gain clarity, get understanding, and probe my customer? Number 5, the self-close. Our goal is to always allow the customer to close themselves by creating these safe transitions for them. We're going to listen and we're going to look, if we happen to visually be able to be in front of them, whether it be Zoom or live, for key closing language and signs. Your customer will indicate to you their comfort level. The last thing you want to do is go for a close, assume a close, or some of these hard close tactics you hear from other people, unless you're getting the vibe that they are ready to close. And if that means you get off that call, go do something and buy more time, then that's what you should do. You never want to push the customer to close when they're not ready, because when customers aren't ready, they're going to say no. The self-close, we want to listen for closing language. Well, and it's not always obvious. For instance, what's the next step? That's actually an indication that they're ready to find out more. They're ready to start moving toward the close. Maybe the next step in the process for something difficult like SEO might be, I'm going to go do a full analysis, Mr. Customer, for you, absolutely free. And then I'm going to come back. We're going to get together and talk about it. But for something simple like a logo design, it might simply be, well, next step is I'm going to send you a small agreement. I'm going to get your payment, and then we're going to get started. That language told me they are ready. What's the next step? Or maybe they say, this sounds good. This sounds great. Man, I think this sounds like it'll work for me. Nobody's ever going to come out and say, yes, can I please buy this? Yes, can I give you money? But they are going to indicate they're open to it with small sentences that you have to listen for, or their body language. If they come to the first meeting closed up with their arms folded, but by the end they're sitting back and they look comfortable, again, they're more comfortable with you at that point. If they don't indicate to you anything that you can perceive as ready to close in the sales cycle, what you want to do is seed the close. Seeding the close with a clarifying question coupled with a clarification. So we've learned already how to do that. So you might say, you said, Mr. Customer, and then state something they said. Is this something you'd like to solve now? I didn't ask, do you want to buy something? I didn't even talk about my products yet. I basically said, hey, are you wanting to solve this now? I'm looking for yeah, as soon as possible. Okay, so let's talk about next steps. Are you comfortable with that? You can seed the close if you need to. Not everyone's going to be open, direct, and give you what you want. So sometimes you're going to have to be prepared and ready to seed that close yourself. And then finally, keep consulting until close. If you're not feeling the close, if you seed the close and they don't bite, your goal is always to let the customer close themselves. If they don't close themselves, you need to keep consulting until they get to close on their own. Maybe it's setting up a follow-up meeting. Maybe it's going and doing something for them to prove something, then coming back. Depending on what you're selling, going from your open to close, it's up to you to keep consulting in the entire process. And that is how you're going to close more sales. That's how you're going to fill your pipeline. That's how you're going to close those in your pipeline. Consulting makes the biggest difference in your business and will make the biggest difference when you're trying to close more customers, when you're trying to close more sales. Follow these 5 steps to close more sales. I promise you, you can add these closing techniques, these sales, strategies You can add these right now. Right now. There are things that you can practice. There's things that you can put into play today that will help you close more sales, win more customers, and get new customers to say yes. So let's recap the 5 steps. The 5 steps to closing more customers is 1, match and mirror. So we're going to match and mirror the behavior of our future customers. Number 2 is to focus on them. Number 3, set yourself apart, be different from everyone else. Number 4, rephrase and clarify. And then finally, number 5, look for the self-close, and if not, seed it. These are the 5 steps to close more sales, and I hope they're going to help you in your journey to build your business. Now, if you'd like to have your best year ever, we are going to offer a free training course. I would like you to type best year ever in the comments. If you're watching the replay, type it in wherever you're watching. If there's comments, if there's not comments, then go to agencyfasttrack.com. There's a little chat widget that pops up on the right. Type in best year ever, and we will contact you because we're going to give away a free training course that's going to help you have the best year ever and start you on your path to building your freedom business.